you enjoy destruction? Is TNT your friend? Have you ever wanted to harness the power of trinitrotoluene? Well then, don't go away, for this is the video just for you. Hello YouTube, Tan Chongwei here. So, the first step to building your very own TNT cannon is to make this sort of channel-like structure, as you can see I'm doing, and pour water over here. Now the purpose of this water is to prevent the TNT from destroying your entire cannon after you fire it. Essentially what you need to do is to get an amount of TNT to explode before a second piece so that the piece is launched into the air. So what I'm going to do here is essentially put redstone. So this is going to ignite all your TNT to fire your separate piece. I'm just going to do this to direct the redstone away because I'm actually going to put this here and the TNT block's going to sit here, and we don't want the propellant TNT to be powered before this does, so yeah. And so this essentially directs the redstone away, but I'm not going to go too much into that. Alright, so this line here will ignite the propellant TNT, and in order to get a nice trajectory for your TNT cannon, we'll use a slab. You can use snow to gain different kinds of trajectories, but usually half slab gives you the best 45-degree angle. So what I like to do is put a block here so I don't accidentally block off the water source, because that would be disastrous. Alright, so you put the TNT in like this and put two buttons. So what you want to do is ignite this first, and before this explodes you want to light this TNT here. So let's give it a shot. So what you need to know is that TNT flashes 8 times before it explodes, so you can kind of gauge when to ignite your projectile TNT, I guess. So as you can see here, got quite a lot of range on that for the 45-degree angle. So let's see what happens if we try different angles. I'll use the snow to get me a 1/8 height block, and yeah. The half slab gives you the best 45-degree angle, but depending on your needs, using different kinds of height can give you, like, for example, that was a very straight shot, and if I increase that even further, so you can see that's almost an entire block, it'll give you a very high angle of firing. So depending on what you're using the cannon for, this can be a useful tip. Okay, I guess that wasn't that high, but you get the idea. Alright, so those are the basics of building a TNT cannon. But how do you make it automatic? Meaning that you only have to push one button for it to fire. Well, that's where the repeaters come in. So TNT takes it flashes 8 times before it explodes, and that's approximately 9 repeaters on full ticks. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright, so we just do this. If you have absolutely no idea what I'm doing, it's alright. You can just follow along. Just make sure you have this number of repeaters and they're all set to full delay. So I will change this to a full block, and we can put a button here, get rid of this, and reload it up. And fire. Essentially, what the repeaters do is insert a delay for your TNT such that you don't have to count the flashes of the TNT yourself, and that reduces the risk of your whole thing blowing up. Alright, so here is a more robust TNT cannon that you should be able to figure out how to build once you have understood the mechanics of a basic one. So essentially what is different from this compared to that is that it has more layers of TNT that will fall into this channel of water, so that will give you much more range and also much more speed. This mechanism here also pushes the TNT against these redstone blocks, and that will cause much more TNT to be launched, and that does a lot more damage than just single pieces. Alright, you might have noticed that this TNT cannon has less repeaters than that one. That's because you don't want the TNT to be ignited too late, or else it might not get launched and it might damage your cannon. So you want to ignite it slightly sooner so that it has time to fall onto this area to be launched on. Alright, so let's load it up and see what this baby can do. Alright, all done. So I'll just step on this pressure plate and we'll get to see how this thing works. So as you can see, it was launched much further than this, even further than my render distance, and a lot of TNT was launched. I'm not too sure why the TNT gets scattered, but it's probably because when TNT ignites, it sort of pops and moves slightly, so that probably causes the trajectory to change. That's also the reason why you need these sort of things here. If not, it's to prevent the TNT from sort of popping to the side and getting stuck on this, which will end up destroying your cannon. Alright, as you can see, I've placed a giant dirt pillar here, so just to give you an idea of what a cluster TNT cannon can do. So let's put this on a delay and go check it out. Alright, that actually launched much higher than anticipated. Because of the velocity it had, it sort of skidded up the pillar. And as you can see, the holes it put in this are much significantly bigger than those done by just one single piece of TNT. So if you are looking to do lots of damage, definitely go with a cannon that launches more than one piece of TNT. Alright, moving on. You might have noticed that this cannon is a bit cumbersome to build in your world because it's quite tall and it also takes up quite a lot of resources, but thankfully in the recent versions of Minecraft, dispensers now dispense TNT. So what I have here is a TNT cannon that doesn't even require you to place the TNT because it dispenses it for you. The only setback for this is you do need to get quite a few dispensers for it to work, but on the brighter side, it is a lot more compact compared to that and packs a lot of punch right size. So as you can see, this is barely bigger than the first cannon we made, but yet it fires a lot further than it does. Alright, next up we have an entity cannon. What this does is, instead of launching TNT, it launches other entities such as falling sand. The only change you have to do with this is, one, you have to have a piston here which will retract to cause the sand to fall, and you need a delay of 9 repeaters set to full tick plus 1. This just gives the sand enough, or rather give enough delay for the sand to be in mid-air before the TNT fires. So let's check this out. So as you saw there, the sand, as the sand was falling, it was launched off by the TNT. Now, what's cool about this is that it works with other entities as well, such as arrows. So to load this thing, you basically just fire tons of arrows on this. Alright, so now if I launch this, you'll see that the arrows are launched. So yes, this can be quite a useful trick. Alright, so in slow-mo, you can see the TNT being ignited and the delay is going. The sand falls, and before it reaches the floor, the TNT flies it off. Moving on, we have a slightly different kind of entity launchers. Apart from arrows and sand, there are other entities that require slightly different methods of launching, such as fireworks. So I personally came up with this myself. I'm not sure if anyone else has made one before, but I think it's pretty cool. And as well, it also demonstrates the delay of sound in Minecraft, which I think is pretty neat as well. Okay, what you just saw was before the TNT exploded, fireworks in this dispenser here was launched, and the explosion actually pushes the fireworks. So you can get a pretty interesting trajectory of that. And this pressure plate here is just to prevent the water from flowing out. 10 repeaters, all set to full except the last one, which is set to minimum delay. Another cool feature of this is that it also works with potions. All you need to do is increase the delay slightly, and voila! Perfect hit. I love this thing. Alright, so this cannon here is more of a trick rather than cannon. If you've ever used ender pearls, you might find that they don't give you the range you're looking for. But with this cannon, it's a pretty cool trick that you can use the TNT to project your ender pearl much further than it can possibly go. Alright, so here we go. And there we go. That actually took me quite a number of attempts to get it right. I even died from falling. So as you can see, you'll launch much further than we were previously. Let's just get back here. So yeah, it's more of a cool trick. You might have noticed that I'm using far less dispensers compared to the previous cannons, and that's because these ender pearls here can get launched pretty far. I did try a few times with much more TNT, and the ender pearl got launched so high that I never ended up getting teleported until many minutes later while I was working on the next few cannons, and suddenly I just get teleported to random parts of the world. So yeah, just a tip for that. Another problem with this is that if your pearl gets fired so far that it goes out of the rendered chunks, it may not teleport you, so you might need a rather crowded, busy multiplayer server where lots of people keep the chunks loaded for this to work if you are really trying to cover great distances. Also, you can't really control how this thing works. As you saw just now, my shot kind of ended up more to the right. That's another problem. Alright, the trick with this is I count the number of times the TNT flashes. Right after the 7th time it does so, I throw the ender pearl, and that gives just the right delay for the ender pearl to get launched. Alright, here we have a relatively new type of TNT cannon, which uses minecart with TNT on it as the propellant TNT. So the cool thing about this is it's a lot more space efficient, and if you sort of angle your mouse correctly, you can put as many minecart with TNT minecarts on this, and they all get activated and fire this TNT. So let's give it a shot. I'm not sure you saw that, but the TNT was launched pretty fast. I don't think I even saw that. So that just shows like how powerful this thing is. Let me try with just maybe 3. 1, 2, 3. Right, TNT here, and yeah, so as you can see, this does fire quite powerfully. However, the downside is that it takes all this minecarts to build or to use, and depending on how much iron you have, that might be an issue. So once this is fired, the minecarts will slide down and get activated by the detector rail, and these almost explode instantaneously, as you can see, and the TNT is launched very far. Alright, this is one of those cannons that's more of a trick again, and it doesn't really count as a TNT cannon, but I thought I'd just show it to you because I think it's pretty neat. I came up with this design myself, but I'm pretty sure other people have also discovered that you can sort of do this sort of exploit. I've coined it the mob stacking glitch. Essentially, if you point at the corner of a block, you can spawn mobs at a very quick rate in a small area. So What's cool about this is that all these mobs, when they're stacked together, actually push entities very far. Now, you used to be able to do this, but once they prevented players from getting knocked around by other entities, you can't really do it, which is kind of sad. But it still works with other entities like mobs. Oh, I love this. And yes, it has rapid fire. It's one of those sort of useless things, but it's really cool. And the only setbacks is you might not hear this, but I have the volume set a lot lower for this reason. It's noisy as heck, yes. I'm not sure you can hear me about this, but yes, it's very noisy because of the sheer amount of villagers confined there. They want their rights, they want to be free, they don't like being stuck there. But, and to show their ultimate defiance, they start lagging the server because there are so many of them there. Depending on the power of your machine and server, these can cause a lot of lag. Like, my frame rate now is like starting to dip slightly, but I don't think you can see it. It does work with creepers. So yeah, if you ever wanted to launch your creepers into your enemy's base, that's the way to go about doing it. So let me just make it peaceful again and turn this off. So, you know, the villagers and we've been arguing a bit. We've come to a common agreement. It's sort of win-win situation. Well, they put me out of misery and I put them out there, so... Oh yeah, that was very satisfying. Lastly, we have one of my favorites. If you are unaware, in the 1.7 update, new commands have been implemented. They are the summon entity command and the set block command. So what this enabled me to do is to make a very high rate of fire TNT cannon, fully automatic, and I've actually calculated it fires at 60 RPM, which is not as fast as that. Oh, I forgot I blew it up, lol. Not as fast as that turret, but it's pretty destructive. So what happens here is this is a clock this is the minimum delay you need in order for it to work properly. This command spawns a block of TNT right here, and this drops it down. The reason why I have it so high up is cause the TNT that's summoned here is very destructive. I literally have to have all this water just to prevent the ground from breaking. And these blocks here do get destroyed, that's why I'm using obsidian. So it gets summoned here, and it gets ignited by this, and it falls. Right before it hits the ground, all these command blocks here summon prime TNT, which instantly goes off and fires it. So let's test it, shall we? So as you can see, very powerful, very compact. You can't really do this in survival, but if you want to make a map, this is a very good way of doing it. Let's check out this feature here. Oh my goodness, it's beautiful, isn't it? I find this pretty mesmerizing. It just keeps firing TNT, and I have, being as evil as I am, I have spawned, let me actually use this potion. Yes, I have actually spawned a village here, and as you can see, it's getting leveled very quickly by all this TNT. Oh, yeah, another problem with this is once you go out random chunks, it sort of stops. Not too big of a problem. Oh my goodness, never seen that happen before. Anyway, yeah, so very destructive, very efficient if you're in creative and if you build maps. I definitely recommend this. I'm pretty sure it launches potions too, as you can see. Sort of. Alright, that's about it from me today. I hope that you've learned something and probably got inspired by some of the builds I have. This map will be available for download. I'll put a link in the description. I hope you enjoyed it, so please leave a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more of this. Comment if you have any questions. I won't hesitate to answer them unless I have no idea how to. Man, these villagers don't know what hit them. Anyway, I've been Tan Zheng Hui, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye. these are gonna explode on the same block, and that will push this TNT away. So let it rip.